The marketplace on the alien world was always full of noise, light, and strange smells. Merchants shouted in many tongues, glowing creatures floated in glass cages, and the air was thick with spices. Among the crowd walked a human, tall and different from everyone around him. He kept his head low, moving carefully through the sea of alien faces. Most ignored him, but whispers always followed. Humans were rare here, and rumors about them spread like fire. The human's name was Daniel. He had come to this world to trade, to survive, and maybe to disappear. But fate did not allow such peace. That day, as he stopped at a stall of bright fruits, the crowd parted suddenly. The air grew tense, voices hushed, and all eyes turned to the center of the square. From the far side entered a small group of guards in silver armor. They marched with pride, and behind them walked a young alien princess. She was beautiful in her own otherworldly way, tall and slim, with skin like polished bronze and eyes that glowed with pale fire. Her steps were confident, her chin raised, her presence enough to silence the noisy market. She looked around, searching, and then her glowing eyes fixed on Daniel. "Human," she said, her voice clear and commanding. The sound echoed across the market. Daniel froze, every eye on him. The princess walked closer, her guards at her side, until she stood only a breath away. People leaned closer, curious, waiting. What would the princess want from a human? Daniel tried to bow politely to avoid trouble, but the princess's eyes did not soften. Instead, they narrowed with strange curiosity. "Reveal it," she demanded, her voice steady and sharp. Daniel blinked in confusion. "Reveal what?" he asked. The crowd laughed nervously, whispers spreading like wild wind. "The creature inside you," she said, her tone serious. "It is said that humans hide something powerful, something that grows twice its size when called. I wish to see it here and now." Gasps ran through the crowd. Some laughed, others covered their mouths. While many leaned closer with wide eyes, Daniel felt his face heat with shame. He understood at once. This was no small request. The alien princess was testing him, challenging him, and humiliating him before all. Daniel clenched his jaw. "You must be mistaken," he said firmly. "There is nothing to reveal." But the princess tilted her head, her glowing eyes never leaving his face. Her lips curved into a faint smile that carried both intrigue and command. "Are you refusing me, human?" she asked softly. Yet her words carried enough weight to crush a man. The guards around her stepped forward, their hands on their weapons. The crowd leaned in even closer, the silence deep and sharp. Daniel's heart raced. He wanted to walk away, to ignore this foolish demand, but he knew one truth about this world. Refusing a royal request could mean death, and yet to obey would be madness. The alien princess crossed her arms, waiting. The glowing light in her eyes did not fade. Instead, it seemed to burn brighter, full of curiosity, full of hunger for answers. "Reveal it," she repeated, this time softer, but more dangerous. Her people watched with excitement, waiting to see the strange truth of a human. Daniel stood trapped, his mind racing. Why did she want this? Why here in front of everyone? Was it only curiosity or something deeper? He could not tell, but he could see one thing clearly in her eyes. She was not mocking him. She was not simply playing. There was real need behind her words, real urgency. The crowd began to chant softly, their voices rising. "Show it, human, show it." Daniel's fists tightened, his chest heavy, his thoughts spinning. He looked at the princess, and she stared back without fear, without shame, only with burning demand. The guards waited for his choice. The people waited for his move. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, and in that moment, Daniel realized something dangerous. This was no ordinary request. The alien princess wanted something only he could give. The question was not whether he would reveal it. The question was why she wanted it so badly. The crowd's voices grew louder, the tension thicker. Daniel took a slow breath. His choice would change everything. But for now, he stood silent, his refusal unspoken, his secret still hidden, and the princess's glowing eyes never looked away, as if she could see through his very soul. Hook ending. Her voice cut through the market one last time, sharp as a blade. Human, I will have my answer, whether you give it freely or I take it. The marketplace was still buzzing after the alien princess made her shocking demand. The crowd's voices rose and fell like waves, filled with whispers, laughter, and fear. Daniel stood frozen, his heart heavy, his fists clenched at his sides. Every pair of eyes was locked on him, waiting for his answer. The alien princess stood tall, her guards ready, her glowing eyes unblinking. Daniel finally took a slow breath and said in a steady voice, "I cannot show you anything because there is nothing to show." His words echoed across the marketplace, and silence followed. The people gasped, some shouted in disbelief, others laughed nervously. The princess did not laugh, she only narrowed her eyes as if weighing his soul. "You dare refuse me?" she asked quietly, her voice sharp like a blade wrapped in silk. Her guards took a step forward, their hands tightening on their spears. Daniel raised his chin, though his heart pounded. "I do not fear you," he said firmly. "But I will not be mocked in front of all these people." The crowd gasped again, for no one spoke to the princess this way. The alien princess tilted her head, her expression unreadable. Some in the crowd shouted, "He insults her! Take him! Punish him!" Others whispered, "Maybe the human is right. Maybe there is no creature." The tension grew, heavy like a storm about to break. Daniel knew he was trapped, every path forward dangerous. The princess took one step closer, so close he could see the faint glow beneath her skin. Her voice dropped lower, but every word was clear. "In my world, a refusal to a royal demand is an insult, and an insult to me is an insult to my throne." She paused, her lips curving slightly. "But I am merciful. If you show me now, I will forgive your defiance." Her eyes burned with curiosity, but Daniel sensed more behind them, a shadow of desperation. Daniel shook his head slowly, his voice quiet but firm. "You do not understand, princess. What you ask is not possible, and even if it were, it is not for you, not here, not like this." The people shouted louder now, some angry, some excited. The guards raised their weapons, ready to seize him. But the princess raised her hand, and the guards froze. Her gaze stayed locked on Daniel, her expression unreadable. "You are brave, human, or perhaps foolish," she whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened, his mind racing. He knew he had bought himself only a little time. If she wished, she could order his execution, and the crowd would cheer. Yet instead of giving the command, she studied him carefully. "Why do you refuse?" she asked softly so only he could hear. Daniel met her glowing eyes. "Because some things are not meant to be revealed." Her breath caught for the first time, and for a heartbeat, she looked less like a princess and more like someone searching, desperately for answers. The moment passed quickly, her mask of authority returning. "Very well," she said aloud, her voice carrying across the market. "If the human refuses, then he will answer for his defiance in another way." She turned to her guards. "Take him to the palace." The crowd roared in excitement and fear. Daniel's stomach tightened, but he did not resist when the guards surrounded him. Chains of bright metal clicked around his wrists, their touch cold and heavy. He kept his head high, though inside his thoughts churned. Why had she not punished him here in front of all? Why take him to her palace instead? The alien princess walked ahead, her steps graceful, but her eyes never once left him. There was no triumph in her gaze, only a strange mixture of hunger, curiosity, and something deeper. As they led Daniel through the streets, the people followed at a distance, whispering, "Will she kill him? Will she break him? Or will she uncover the human's secret at last?" Daniel heard their words but kept silent. Inside, a storm raged within him. He had sworn never to reveal the truth, never to show the strange power that set him apart. But now the princess's demand and her strange determination gnawed at him. Why did she want it so badly? What secret lay behind her glowing eyes? As the palace gates loomed ahead, tall and shining with alien light, Daniel knew one thing. This was only the beginning. His refusal had not ended the matter. It had only pulled him deeper into a trap he could not yet see. And whatever awaited him inside those walls, it would test not only his strength but also his soul. Hook ending. As the gates closed behind them, the princess leaned close and whispered, "Refuse me again, human, and you will not leave this palace alive." The palace was built of silver stone that glowed faintly under the alien sun. Its high towers stretched like spears into the sky, and the gates shut behind Daniel with a heavy thud. He was led through long halls filled with strange glowing murals, each one showing battles and heroes of alien history. But the guards said nothing, their faces hard, their spears pointed at his back. Daniel walked silently, though his heart beat faster with every step. At last, the guards brought him into a vast chamber, its ceiling high and painted with stars that shimmered like the real night sky. Torches of blue flame lined the walls, casting sharp shadows across the polished floor. At the far end, the alien princess sat on a throne of black crystal, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Her posture was relaxed, but her gaze burned with curiosity and hidden force. She raised her hand and the guards stepped aside, leaving Daniel standing alone in the center of the hall. "Human," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "You refused me before, but I will not be denied. I give you one chance to prove yourself, not with words, but with strength." Daniel frowned. "Strength?" he asked carefully. The princess stood, her flowing robe moving like water. "Yes," she said. "If you will not reveal the creature inside you, then show me the power you carry. Prove you are not a weak thing walking in the skin of a man." Door on the side of the chamber opened, and two alien warriors entered. They were huge, taller than Daniel by a head, their bodies wrapped in armor that gleamed under the blue flames. Each carried a heavy staff tipped with sharp blades. The crowd of nobles who had gathered whispered excitedly. It was clear what this was: an arena, a test, a trap. Daniel's fists tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "I am no gladiator, princess," he said. "I did not come here to fight your people." The princess tilted her head, her glowing eyes sharp. "And yet, if you wish to leave alive, you will fight," she said softly. "Do not fear. I will not ask you to kill them, only to show me that the rumors are true. Show me the hidden power of a human." The two warriors stepped forward, their weapons spinning easily in their hands. The sound of metal rang across the chamber. Daniel knew he had no weapon, no armor, only his body. But he also knew that if he refused again, his life would be forfeit. He took a slow breath and lifted his fists, ready. The first warrior charged, his staff whistling through the air. Daniel ducked low, the blade grazing past his head. He rolled forward, coming to his feet behind the warrior, and struck with his elbow. The alien stumbled, surprised by the speed and strength of a human strike. Gasps filled the chamber. The nobles leaned closer, their eyes wide. The second warrior came fast, his staff aimed at Daniel's chest. Daniel caught it with both hands, the impact pushing him back, his feet sliding across the polished floor. But then, with a burst of strength, he twisted the staff sideways and ripped it from the warrior's grip. The weapon clattered to the ground, and the warrior fell to one knee, stunned. The crowd roared, half in shock, half in awe. The princess's eyes glowed brighter, her lips curving in a faint smile. She leaned forward on her throne, watching every movement. Daniel dropped the stolen staff and raised his fists again. He did not want to kill. He only wanted to survive. The two warriors rose together, circling him, their movements slower now, more careful. The fight continued. Each strike of the alien warriors met with surprising human strength. Daniel moved with precision, dodging, striking, using speed where they used size at last with a final push. He knocked one warrior flat on his back and sent the other's weapon flying across the hall. Both warriors lay defeated, breathing heavily, while Daniel stood tall in the center of the chamber. Sweat dripped down his brow, his chest heaving, but his eyes burned with fire. Silence filled the room, heavy and sharp. Then slowly the crowd began to cheer, their voices echoing off the high walls. The alien nobles looked at each other with disbelief, muttering. The human had stood against two trained warriors and emerged unbroken. The princess rose from her throne, her gaze never leaving him. "You are strong," she said softly, almost to herself. Her glowing eyes burned with something deeper now, not just curiosity but also hope. She stepped closer, her voice rising so all could hear. "Tell me the truth, human. Does your strength come from the creature within, or is this only a shadow of the power you hide?" Daniel's jaw tightened, his silence his only answer. The princess studied him with care, her lips curving again. "Very well," she said. "If you will not confess with words, then I will. Find another way to draw out your secret, but know this, human. What you showed today is not enough. I will see the creature for myself, no matter what it takes." Her voice carried through the chamber like a promise, or a threat. The nobles fell silent once more, their eyes flicking between Daniel and their princess, sensing a dangerous bond forming between them. Hook ending. Daniel stood tall, his fists still tight, his breath still heavy. He had won the ice test of strength, but in that moment he understood something terrifying. The princess would never stop, and the next trial she set before him might not end without blood. Night fell over the alien palace, the silver towers glowing under the strange twin moons. Daniel sat in a guarded room, his wrists free but his mind restless. He had fought. He had proved his strength. But he had not escaped. The princess had spared him, yet her demand remained unanswered. She wanted the truth. She wanted the creature she believed he carried inside him. When the door opened, it was not guards who entered but the princess herself. She dismissed the soldiers with a single wave, leaving only her and Daniel in the quiet room. Her glowing eyes studied him for a long moment before she finally spoke. "You are not like the others, human, the warriors you faced today. None could stand as you did. Your power is not normal, it is more." Daniel shook his head, his voice steady. "I am just a man. Nothing more." Her lips curved into a faint smile, one that carried no humor. "You think you can hide from me? No, you will not come," she commanded. With no chains but no choice, Daniel followed her through the silent halls. They walked past tall windows where alien stars glimmered, past statues of old kings and queens, until they reached a heavy, black door. Guards bowed and pulled it open, revealing darkness beyond. The princess stepped inside, her voice calm but sharp. "This is my private chamber. No one enters here but me." Daniel hesitated at the threshold, sensing danger in the air. The walls inside glowed faintly, strange symbols carved deep into the stone. It was colder here, quieter, as if the palace itself held its breath. Torches of blue flame lit as they walked, casting eerie shadows that danced across the floor. At the center of the room stood a circle, carved into the ground, filled with strange markings. The princess turned to face him, her eyes glowing brighter in the dim light. "Here," she said. "You will show me the truth. No more lies. No more refusals." Daniel's fists tightened, but he shook his head again. "I told you before, there is nothing to show." The princess stepped closer, her expression unreadable. Her voice softened, but it carried a weight heavier than iron. "Do you know what they call me in this palace, human? They call me Seeker of Lost Fire, the one who hunts for hope where none exists." Her words slowed, her tone shifting from pride to something close to sorrow. "My people are dying, our strength fading. Every year more children are born weak. More warriors fail in battle, our bloodline thins, and the fire that once made us strong is vanishing." Daniel frowned, his heart stirring, though he tried to remain silent. The princess lifted her chin, her glowing eyes trembling faintly. "Ancient records say that only humans carry a secret inside them, something that grows, something that doubles when awakened, a living force no other race can claim." Daniel's breath caught, her words cutting deep into his guarded silence. This was not just curiosity, not just pride, it was desperation. The princess took one more step closer, so near he could feel her breath. "If what I heard is true, you could be the one to save us, the one to restore the fire to my people." Her voice cracked, but her gaze remained strong. "And I will not stop until I see it." Daniel turned away, pacing inside the circle, his thoughts racing. Could he trust her? Should he reveal anything? His secret was dangerous, misunderstood, even feared. He had sworn never to expose it again, not after what happened the last time he revealed his strength. But now she stood before him, not as a princess, but as a desperate soul clinging to hope. "I cannot," Daniel whispered at last, his voice heavy. The princess's face hardened, her glowing eyes shifting from sorrow to steel. "Then you will," she said coldly, and with a wave of her hand, the markings on the ground began to glow. The circle blazed with light, rising around Daniel like a cage of fire. The air hummed, the stone shook, and he felt his strength pulled, tested, drawn out. Daniel gritted his teeth, his body trembling as the energy pressed against him. The princess stood outside the glowing circle, her eyes wide, her face lit with awe and fear. "Yes," she whispered. "I can feel it. The creature inside you. It is real." Daniel's knees bent under the pressure, his heart pounding as the secret within him stirred against his will. The chamber echoed with strange vibrations. The torches flickered, and the walls seemed to shiver. He forced himself to hold back, to resist, his voice breaking. "You do not understand what you are doing. Stop this now." But the princess shook her head, her eyes burning brighter. "No, human. This is the proof I needed. The fire is within you, and now I will have it." The glowing lines burned hotter, brighter, wrapping Daniel in a cage of light. His strength surged inside, wild and dangerous, begging to break free. The chamber groaned as if the palace itself feared what might happen next. Daniel clenched his fists, his voice raw with warning. "If you push me further, you will unleash something you cannot control." Hook ending. The princess did not step back, her voice trembling with both fear and determination. "Then let it be unleashed, human, for only in truth can my people be saved." The circle of light burned around Daniel, its glowing lines humming with strange energy. The air grew heavy, pressing on his chest, forcing his secret strength to awaken. His body trembled as the hidden power stirred, the thing he had always kept locked deep inside. The princess stood at the edge of the circle, her glowing eyes wide with awe and hunger. She whispered softly, almost to herself. "Yes, it is true, the fire lives inside the human." Daniel gritted his teeth, sweat running down his brow. He tried to resist, tried to keep the force from breaking free, but the circle kept pulling at him, drawing the power higher, stronger, louder. He fell to one knee, his breath harsh, his hands shaking as light sparked across his skin. The crowd of alien nobles who had secretly gathered behind the chamber doors gasped and murmured. The princess lifted her chin proudly, her voice steady but trembling underneath. "You see, my people, I was not wrong. The creature inside the human exists. It grows. It doubles in strength when called." Her words echoed through the chamber, filling the nobles with shock and fear. Some whispered that it was dangerous. Others whispered that it was hope. But Daniel did not hear them. All he felt was the storm inside him trying to break loose. With a roar, he forced his hands against the glowing ground. The circle cracked, sparks flying as the markings faltered. The energy snapped back like a whip, the torches shuddering, the floor shaking. Daniel stood, his chest heaving, his eyes burning with fire not his own. The crowd stumbled back in terror, some falling to their knees. The princess did not retreat. She stepped forward, her eyes locked on him. "You are the one," she whispered. "The one who can save us." Daniel shook his head, his voice rough. "You do not understand. This power is not salvation. It is destruction if unleashed." But she did not believe him, or perhaps she chose not to. Her hand trembled, but she reached out toward the light still crackling across his arms. The moment her fingers brushed the glow, the power surged between them. A shock wave ran through the chamber, the blue torches flaring white, the walls groaning. The princess gasped but did not pull away. Instead, her eyes filled with tears. "It is real," she breathed. "I can feel it. It is strong. It is. Alive, Daniel pushed back, forcing the strength down, locking it inside once more. The light dimmed, the cracks sealed, and the circle faded into silence. He staggered back, panting, his muscles burning, his body weak. The princess stared at him, her hands trembling, her face pale. "You nearly destroyed this chamber," she whispered. "And yet you held it back. How?" Daniel looked at her with tired eyes. "Because I have learned control. Because I know what happens when I don't." The nobles whispered again, some fearful, some hopeful, some desperate. One old noble stepped forward, his voice shaking. "Princess, if this human carries the fire, then he must be bound to us. He must give it to our people, or we are lost." The princess turned sharply, her voice like steel. "No," she said. "He is not a tool. He is not a beast to be harvested. He is the key, and the key must choose to open." Her words silenced the crowd, but Daniel saw the fear in their eyes. They wanted him, not as a man, but as a weapon, as salvation, and that truth made his heart grow heavy. The princess turned back to him, her glowing eyes softer now. "I did not bring you here only to test you, human. I brought you here because I believe you are the only hope left for my people." Her voice cracked slightly. "If you refuse me again, I cannot stop them from taking you, from breaking you open until they steal what you hide." Daniel's fists clenched, anger mixing with pity. He had been hunted before, used before, and he would not let it happen again. He stepped closer, his voice low but sharp. "Do not mistake me for your savior. Princess, I will not be forced, I will not be caged. If your people want me as a weapon, they will fail because I will burn before I bow." His words cut the air like blades, and the nobles recoiled. But the princess did not recoil, her gaze only deepened, her glowing eyes shimmering with something fragile. "You speak like a warrior, but you carry the heart of a protector," she whispered. "That is why I cannot let you go." The silence in the chamber thickened. Daniel's chest still burned with the remnants of power. The princess's eyes still shone with desperate hope. They stood facing each other, trapped between truth and lies, between fear and need. Neither moved, neither yielded. And in that moment, Daniel knew the real fight had only just begun. Hook ending. From the shadows, a noble's voice hissed, "Then, if the human will not give it freely, we shall take it by force." The chamber was silent after the noble's sharp words. Daniel stood tense, his fists still trembling from the power he had forced back inside. The princess turned slowly toward her council, her glowing eyes cold as fire. "No one touches him without my command," she said, her voice sharp as steel. But the nobles shifted uneasily, their whispers filling the air like snakes. Daniel could see it in their faces, the hunger, the fear, the greed. They did not see him as a man. They saw him as a key, a weapon, a last chance for their dying people. And if the princess lost control, they would tear him apart to claim what they thought was hidden inside. He stepped back, his heart racing, his body still weak but his spirit unbroken. He had faced this before in another place, another time, and he knew how it ended, with blood. The princess raised her hand, silencing the nobles, her voice carried across the glowing chamber, firm and steady. "I will not allow him to be broken if he is to save us. It will be by his choice, not by your greed." Her words echoed like thunder, but the doubt did not fade from the faces around her. Daniel saw it, and it chilled him. When the nobles finally left, muttering under their breath, the princess turned back to him. Her glowing eyes softened, her voice quiet. "You see now why I pressed you, human. You see why I needed proof. They would never believe me without it." Daniel's jaw tightened, his voice low. "And now that they believe, they will never let me go." The princess lowered her head, her hands trembling slightly. "I cannot lie. You are right. They will come for you again, but I swear I will protect you." Her eyes rose, glowing with fierce resolve. "Even if it cost me my throne." Daniel stared at her, unsure whether to believe her or not. Was she truly trying to protect him, or was she only trying to bind him closer? He turned away, pacing the chamber. his heart torn. He could not stay here. He could not let them use him. Yet leaving meant abandoning the princess and her people to their slow destruction. And though he told himself he did not care, part of him remembered the desperation in her eyes, the trembling in her voice when she spoke of her people dying. His chest tightened, his choice heavy as chains: stay, and risk being turned into a weapon, or flee, and leave her to face ruin alone. Suddenly, the chamber doors slammed open. A group of armored soldiers rushed in, not loyal to the princess but to the nobles who plotted behind her. Their blades gleamed under the torchlight, their eyes full of determination. "Seize the human," their leader barked, "by order of the council." The princess stepped forward, at once her voice a whip. "You dare defy me in my own chamber?" The soldiers did not lower their weapons. "Our people are dying," one of them said. "We cannot wait for him to choose, we must take what he carries now." They moved toward Daniel, their boots striking against the stone like drums. The princess drew a small blade from her robe, her stance fierce. "No one touches him while I still breathe," she declared. Daniel's fists tightened, the power stirring inside him again. He did not want to release it, but he knew if he did nothing, the soldiers would cut him down. His eyes met the princess's, and for the first time, he saw not only determination but also fear for him, not for her throne, not for her people, but for him. She whispered quickly, her voice trembling. "If you show them, if you unleash it now, they will obey, they will bow, but if you do nothing, they will kill us both." His heart pounded, the dangerous choice before him. If he revealed his full power, he would no longer be able to hide. The whole palace, maybe the whole empire, would know what lived inside him. But if he kept resisting, if he stayed silent, then blood would fall on the floor tonight. He had promised himself never to be used, never to become a weapon, and yet the princess's eyes begged him, her lips whispered, "Please, human, choose me, not them." The soldiers closed in, raising their blades. Daniel felt the storm rise within, heat spreading across his skin, fire trembling inside his chest. The torches flickered, the walls groaned. The circle carved in the floor glowed faintly again. The soldiers hesitated, but still they pressed forward. Daniel's hands shook as he raised them slowly, his voice a low growl. "Stand back, or you will see the truth you are not ready for." The soldiers paused, some stepping back, but their leader sneered. "Do it, human. Prove the rumors. Show us the beast you hide, or die where you stand." The princess moved closer, her hand brushing his arm, her voice breaking. "If you unleash it, you will not be alone. I will stand with you forever." The choice tore through him like fire. Stay silent, and both of them would die. Reveal. Himself and the galaxy would never look at him the same again. His breath came hard, his body shook. His secret screamed to be released. And Daniel knew in this moment there was no safe path, no peace, only a dangerous choice. Hook. Ending. The soldiers raised their blades for the final strike. Daniel's eyes burned with fire, his voice thundering across the chamber. "Then you leave me no choice." The chamber shook as the soldiers closed in. Their blades shimmered under the torchlight, their faces set with grim determination. The princess stood beside Daniel, her small blade drawn, but she knew it was useless against so many. Her eyes flicked to him, glowing with fear and hope at the same time. "Now," she whispered, "if you do not show them, we are lost." Daniel's fists clenched, his breath ragged, the power inside him roaring like a caged beast. For so long he had hidden it, locked it deep, afraid of what would happen if it escaped. But now there was no choice, no escape, only the storm waiting to break. The soldiers leapt forward, their blades cutting through the air, and Daniel let go. A blinding surge of light burst from his body. The ground cracked, the circle in the floor blazing to life as if called by his power. Waves of heat rushed across the chamber, throwing soldiers back like leaves in a storm. The torches flared white, the walls trembled, dust falling from the ceiling. The nobles who had lingered screamed, shielding their faces from the fire. The princess stood firm, her hair whipping in the wind of energy, her eyes wide in awe. Before her, the human glowed with a terrible brilliance. His body seemed larger, his strength doubled, every muscle alive with fire. The creature within him was not a beast of flesh, but a force of living energy. It roared without sound, burning through him, yet somehow he remained standing. The soldiers crawled back in terror, their blades clattering to the ground. "Impossible," one whispered. "No mortal could hold such power." Daniel's voice thundered, deeper, stronger, filled with the storm itself. "You wanted the truth, here it is." He stepped forward, the ground breaking beneath his feet. "No chains can bind me, no throne can own me, this is not your weapon, it is mine." The soldiers trembled, the nobles fell silent, and even the air seemed to freeze. Only the princess moved, stepping closer through the heat and light. Her hand reached out, her voice trembling. "And yet, with this power, you chose not to destroy us. You held back. Why?" Daniel's eyes softened for a moment, the fire flickering inside them. "Because I am not here to kill, princess, only to live, only to be free." Her lips parted, and tears shimmered in her glowing eyes. "Then you are more than we ever hoped. Not a beast, not a weapon, but a protector." She dropped her blade and fell to one knee before him. "From this moment I bind myself to you, human. You have my loyalty, my faith, my life." Gasps filled the chamber, nobles whispering in disbelief. The soldiers, once eager to strike him down, now bowed their heads, trembling. Fear had turned to respect, respect into worship. They had seen what no one could deny. The human strength was real. The creature inside him was true, and none dared to stand against him now. Daniel looked around, his chest heavy, his breath still harsh. He had revealed his secret, and nothing would ever be the same again. The power inside him began to calm, the light fading slowly until only a faint glow lingered across his skin. He staggered slightly, but the princess was already at his side, steadying him. "You have shown them," she whispered. "They will never doubt again." Daniel looked into her glowing eyes, tired but firm. "And now they will never stop hunting me, you know that." She nodded, her voice soft but sure. "Then let them come. They will not take you because you are no longer alone." Her words wrapped around him like armor, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt something close to peace. But he also knew the truth. Peace was only the calm before another storm, and this storm would spread beyond the palace, beyond the city, perhaps even across the stars. The nobles stepped forward cautiously, their voices trembling. "Princess, what shall we do now? If the human is our only hope, how do we keep him?" Her eyes blazed as she turned to them. "You will not keep him, you will stand with him because he is not our prisoner, he is our protector." Her words cut through their fear, silencing them completely. Daniel stood tall, though his body still ached, his heart heavy. He had revealed the truth and the galaxy would never forget it. The princess's hand remained on his arm, her grip steady, her eyes full of quiet promise. "You are bound to me now, human," she whispered, "and I am bound to you. Together we will change the fate of my people." Daniel said nothing, but deep inside, he knew her words were not only hope but prophecy, hook-ending. The chamber doors opened once more and a messenger rushed in, his voice panicked. "My princess, my human, the outer cities have already heard of what happened here. Armies are moving, they are coming for the human." The princess's glowing eyes turned to Daniel, her voice steady. "Then let them come, for now the galaxy knows. The human's power is real,